name is SARIFAHNORWATI, and for today's video, we will be presenting about univariate models of STA global berhad data.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Farzana dan binti Mohamad Fathi.
Assalamualaikum. My name is SYAREENA binti ZAMANI and we are from group CS248 for B1.
STA Global Berhad is a Malaysian investment holding firm that used to be known as Halax Holding Berhad. STA was founded in 1985, more than a quarter year ago, with the goals of actively contributing to the growth and advancement of Malaysia's agriculture business as well as the life of the people involved in the field. This has been made possible by the company's team's devotion and commitment to developing and marketing a wide range of STA brand crop protection solutions that provide added value to consumers in a variety of applications. Subsequently, on 11 January 2007, the company converted its status from a private limited company to a public limited company to facilitate their listing on the main market of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad on 16 September 2009. Over 30 years, the group has diversified the business operations and currently involved in pesticides, fertilizers, specialty chemicals, research and development, consumer products, and biogas processing system. The group registered a revenue of RM123.04 million for the current quarter under review as compared to RM121.9 million for the corresponding quarter of the preceding year, representing a slight increase of RM1.14 million. The increase was mainly due to high revenue generated from the consumer product segment. In addition, the revenue generated from the agriculture segment was increased by approximately RM1.30 million, which was able to mitigate the lower revenue from consumer product segment for the group. On the year-to-date basis, the group registered a total revenue of RM426.9 million as compared to RM205.28 million in the corresponding financial period of the preceding year, representing an increase of RM221.62 million. The increase is mainly due to contribution from the domestic market of the agriculture segment. Despite operating during a pandemic, the group remains resilient and well prepared for any unforeseen circumstances. The first problem that can occur to the company is about the regulation governing agrochemicals. The regulations and compliance governing agrochemical in Malaysia and also foreign countries might change from time to time in an unfavorable way for STA. The next issues that might happen to STA is the rise of organic farming. The rise of organic farming and food might also affect STA's business. As more people accept organic food, more farming companies might choose to do organic farming instead, due to a better margin as well, which decreases the demand for agrochemicals. Although the acceptance of organic food is slowly increasing, it is still not on a significant level to affect the normal farming due to its much more expensive price level for end consumer. Therefore, in near future, normal farming will still be the main and preferred choice. Based on the graphic, it shows that STA Industries Berhad had RM59.8 million of debt in August 2021, an addition from RM56.4 million 1 year before. The company debt to equity ratio is considered high. It is insufficient to determine if STA's debt to equity ratio has reduced over the past 5 years. On the flip side, it has RM16.2 million in cash, leading to net debt about RM43.6 million. However, STA's debt is well covered by its operating cash flow. Companies benefit from forecasting because it allows them to make well-informed business strategies and execute data-driven initiatives. Current market conditions and predicted future market conditions are used to make financial and operational choices. Data from the past is compiled and analyzed in order to find patterns that may be utilized to predict future trends and movements. Forecasting allows a company to be proactive instead of reactive. STA needs to forecast net profit so that it may compare current and projected financial expenditures and make policy decisions. It is a way of forecasting data based on past, current, and future financial situation by employing various models and approaches. This might help STA estimate possible income and spending patterns, which could have an influence on corporate policies, strategic objectives, and plans. The annual budgeting process is incomplete without forecasting. Forecasting well has the ability to improve decision making in the future. The research objectives are to generate the forecast value for the market stock price of STA holding, to determine the most suitable mathematical model to fit the data series, and to study the pattern of the underlying structure of the price of the STA as pointed out by the sequence of the observation in the series. I will pass the next part to our next presenter, Farah.
Hexta Global Berhad is a chemical manufacturing company that is established in 1985 and was incorporated in Malaysia as a private limited company on 13 October 1990. The company was then converted to a public limited company on 11 January 2007 and was listed on the main Bursa Market Malaysia, Securities Berhad, on 16 September 2009. The stock price of Hexta Global Berhad is defined as the dependent variable, while the daily data for 1 year is defined as independent variable. The data series are divided into two parts, which are the estimation and the evaluation part. Based on the calculations, 183 observations of the data are defined as the estimation part, which the data is obtained from 9th November 2020, which is in the 4th quarter of the year, until 4th August 2021, the 3rd quarter of the year. The rest is an evaluation part, where it is an important element that will be used to determine the best model to forecast for 1 year of stock price in Hexta Global Berhad by choosing the smallest error value between all models. For the next slide, I will pass to Farzana Alya.
Thank you, Farah. Next, I will explain about the method of analysis. There are 4 models that we have chosen. The first one is average change model. The second one is average percent change model. The third one is single exponential smoothing. And the last one is Holt's method. Firstly, for average change model, the organization always use this model because of its stability and practicability, and it's suitable for short data series. This model provides a useful short-term to intermediate term forecast when the actual time series is dominated by a consistent pattern of changes, but this model tends to lag behind the turning point. The formula that we use to find the forecast value in this model is close price plus the average of changes. In average percent change model, this model measured in relative term and the forecast generated based on the percentage changes in historical data. This model also suitable for short data series and not suitable to forecast beyond 1 or 2 months period, since it can produce a very high forecast. For single exponential smoothing, we need to have one parameter, the smoothing constant alpha, to generate the fitted and forecast value. This model is best to use when the data series have no significant trend, no seasonality, or any underlying pattern. There are 2 ways that we can use to determine the value of alpha. The first one is by using our own alpha. We decide the value of alpha by ourselves, or the second one is by using the solver. The formula for the model is alpha times by the close price plus 1 minus alpha times the fitted values, and the values for alpha is between 0 to 1. For Holt's method, which we also call Holt's 2-parameter method, which we need 2 parameters, which are alpha and beta. It is always be used in handling the data that have linear trend, smooth the trend, and solve directly by using different smoothing constant. There are 3 equations involved in this model, which are: the first one is exponential smooth, the second one is trend estimation, the third one is forecast equation. The value of alpha and beta that will be used in this model also need to be between 0 to 1. For analysis and result, I will pass to my groupmate Farah and Sarifah to present about it.
From the initial graph above, the graph illustrates the gradual increasing trend component where the pattern exists in the data are linear line. There also exists a cyclical trend where the data keeps rise and falls for over a year, and it reached its highest peak at the 3rd quarter of 2021 with the price of Rm 1.69 cent. However, there is no seasonal and irregular component exists in the initial graph. The first model used to analyze the data is average change model. The graph explains the fit for the close price of Hexta for the period between September 2020 and October 2021. The graph illustrates the uptrend line with the existence of trend component alongside with the cyclical component. The graph shows that the fit does follow the data closely from the beginning but slightly shift away at the end of the series. Hence, the forecasts are likely to be accurate with the forecast value of 1.75. The second model is average percent change model. The graph illustrates the uptrend line in the close price of Hexta from September 2020 to October 2021 with the existence of trend component as well as cyclical component in the graph. The graph shows that the fits also follow the data closely from the beginning until the end of the series. It has the high forecast values of 1.7539. This method may result in an overstatement of future growth. I let SYAREENA to explain another 2 models, which are single exponential smoothing method and Holt's method.
In single exponential technique, the method only requires one parameter, that is the smoothing constant alpha, to generate the fitted values and hence forecast. In single exponential smoothing, the forecast for the next and all subsequent periods are determined by adjusting the current period forecast by a portion of differences between the current forecast and the current actual value. We generate the alpha using solver, where it shows that the value of smoothing constant alpha is 1. For the purpose of the simplifications, the first value of the series as represented by the value 0.446875 for 9th November 2020 and will be used as initial values. The value is placed in cell C2. We generate the forecast for the one step ahead, where we obtain the value of forecast is 1.69, where since the alpha is 1, the forecast is simply the sum of previous period forecast value and the previous period error term.
This is the graph of close price of X star using single exponential smoothing technique.
In Hod's method, since there are two parameters involved, the model development is much more complicated. The solution to this problem can be considered from two approaches, where the first one requires the forecaster to priorly determine the best value of alpha and beta based on the data characteristics, and the other approach is that we let the data series itself determine the values of alpha and beta. We use the second approaches, where we use the solver to generate the value of alpha and beta, where the value of both parameters is 0.9932354 and 0.0823385. The value of forecast obtained using Hod's method is 1.6955647.
The graph above is the close price of X star using Hod's method. For the next slide, I will pass to Farzana Alya.
Okay, so for the conclusion, when we compare the value of mean square error, MSE, and mean absolute square error, MAPE, for the evaluation part, we can conclude that Hod's method is the best model to forecast the value, since it has the smallest value of MSE and MAPE for evaluation part.